Hey there, welcome back to High Infidelity, the best channel for cheating stories. Like and subscribe to channel for more spicy stories. Now, let's get into today's story video. My STBXW came out in early December. I can't move on, really long story. My world is now turned upside down. My life seems phony right now, and all I want to know is how to go back to living it. So the whole thing revolves around Thanksgiving. In my home, Thanksgiving is one of the few occasions a year when I can relax and have a drink. So I got buzzed, but my wife went intoxicated. I was cleaning the dishes towards the end of our meal when my wife stumbled into the kitchen. I asked her what was wrong since she was a weeping mess. I could barely comprehend "I'm sorry" since she slurred her words so horribly. I escorted her to her bedroom, retrieved a glass of water for her, and placed her on the bed. That was the day I began to wonder what was wrong with her. Then, in early December, I had to leave work early due to a terrible fall. When I arrived, I was taken aback by the presence of another automobile in my driveway. This wasn't a recognizable automobile either. It was a '03 Dodge Durango, which I hadn't seen since one of my friends smashed it at a house party in 2005. Anyway, I stepped in and my wife was sitting on the couch with a glass of wine in her hand, and as I walked in, she gave me a big embrace. When I inquired about the automobile in the driveway, she said that it belonged to a girlfriend. When I questioned where her girlfriend was, she replied she was having a shower after spilling wine on herself. I didn't believe this tale. I simply had a strong feeling she was lying to me. So I inquired once again, and she told me the same tale. At that very time, a thought occurred to me. I already know. That's why I came home early, I remarked as I sat down. My friends and I stopped playing poker because I had an Oscar-worthy poker face, and that factored into this as well. "Know what?" she said, terrified. I informed her that I already knew and that she deserved to tell me. I don't believe she could have done it if she hadn't previously been drinking. She began apologizing and telling me that she wasn't being her true self and that she needed to be more open and honest with herself. The lady she had been seeing strolled out of the restroom on cue. When she saw me, the lady paused, then sat down next to my wife and gripped her hand strongly. That's when it hit me. My poker face is excellent, but not great. "I'm sorry you had to find out this way, but I can't keep pretending and wasting my life like this," my wife remarked. This section makes me feel like the mix of being shell-shocked, disrespectful, and depressed proved too much for me, and I burst into tears. I resisted the want to cry. I ordered the odd lady to leave my residence right now, and she first refused. I'm not an aggressive or frightening person, but I hurled my coffee table across the living room, near my dining table. She seemed terrified, so I gently urged her to go once again. She tried to say she wasn't going anywhere again, but my wife basically pushed her out. She returned and began apologizing and saying things like "You're my best friend, and I still love you." The agony of falling down a ladder onto tile and pulling up a stone coffee table had taken its toll on my back at this time. I knelt on my ottoman and collapsed down. My wife came over to soothe me, but when she touched me, I freaked out and she walked to the bedroom. I slept on the ottoman right there. The remainder of December was a nightmare. I really injured my back and had to see a doctor. I was given some severe pain relievers as well as a cane. Because the medications had sleepiness as a side effect, I felt sleepy most of the time. Because I couldn't work due to my back, I spent the month grieving at the end of my marriage and my terrible back pain. In addition to viewing Stargate SG, one day I didn't eat much and just had once in a while, yet I dropped over 13 pounds in 2 weeks. My wife spent most of December at her girlfriend's place, but she came here for Christmas. She and her girlfriend came over, and my wife sobbed a bit when she saw my filthy clothing, caveman beard, and bulging eyes. They sat me down and told me that although my wife was moving on, she still loved me as a best friend. She wants me to accept her relationship and be a part of her life. For the first time in weeks, I had the courage to tell her that I was done with her. She'd shattered me, and I wasn't going to stand there and applaud her. She abandoned me, leaving me with a damaged back and a shattered heart. The girlfriend attempted to converse, but I dismissed her as a homewrecker. She became enraged and informed her that she was not welcome in my home. My wife attempted to talk, but I stopped her off and informed her that the homewrecker had to go before we could continue. We chatted after the homewrecker departed. I advised her that the divorce was impending and that she would be allowed to receive just a sliver of my estate as part of the settlement. The house I live in was passed down to me by my uncle long before we met, and both of my autos were given to me by him at the same time I got the house. After she expressed disappointment, I told her that this would be the last time we would speak face to face for the foreseeable future. From point on, my attorney would be in charge of all correspondence. She begged with me to keep in touch, but I was honest with her about how I was feeling at the time. I said that I had pondered suicide at least 10 times a day of the last year. Despite the fact that I told her she meant more to me than anything else, she took advantage of me. The fact that I was physically queasy and in bodily anguish because of our conversation was something I shared with her. She was well aware of the situation, so that's exactly what I've been up to. As a result, I find myself thinking about her all of the time. New Year's Eve was a complete disaster. I stayed away from alcoholic beverages throughout this time period mostly because it is dangerous when paired with my prescription medications. Speaking of painkillers, I should be through with them in a short period of time. The medications are terrible, and I really want to go back to work and do anything other than sleep and vomit. I'm sorry, but this is becoming too long. Please accept my apologies for the inconvenience. This was therapeutic for me in a manner in certain respects. The freedom to let the words to flow was really useful to me. Is there anybody else who has had a similar experience? Do you know how to stop thinking about your ex-boyfriend or girlfriend? Story 2. My cheater dad. As a result, my father is a liar, and I've known about it since 3rd grade, when I was a kid and used to play with his BlackBerry phone. This happened around 10 years ago. I discovered one of the chats is with a lady, and her profile image is of her holding a baby. At the time, I didn't give it much thought, since many women take pictures with babies on their profiles. The substance of the messages is quite intimate, with phrases such as, "Are you being really honest with me? When you get home, go out and get some food for me." After reading their communication, I am certain that my father had an affair with my mother, which comes as a huge shock to me. Because just a year ago, my father was involved in a brawl at a pub and was battered with 3-quarter glasses and a chair. From what I remember in a newspaper, he ended up losing his left eye and need to wear a fake eye. And for months on end, my mother and eldest sister remain at the hospital with him, taking care of his needs. So the fact that Dad would have the guts to cheat on my mother comes as a huge shock. Incredibly, I quickly informed my sisters, who were equally stunned but didn't say anything about what they had just seen. However, I continued to communicate with my father in a regular manner. However, even before learning of this, my sisters and I spoke with him seldom since he was practically never at home, go at 9 a.m. and home by 3 a.m. After a few months had passed, I saw my mother folding clothes in the dark, all by herself. So I assist her, and then I simply tell her everything I've been thinking about her. She didn't say anything or respond in any way. The following day, she is no longer there. Even my grandmother, who is used to waking up at 5 a.m., failed to notice her absence. I was terrified, but she did return at a late hour that night. After a few days, my mother awoke me in the middle of the night and inquired as to which lady I was referring to. I showed it to her, and she didn't say anything more about it. Of course, my father did not remain together with the lady, but he did cheat on my mother with several other women over the course of several years. Fun fact, we discovered out my mother is pregnant with my brother not long after I informed her about my brother. After 10 years, I discovered, or received confirmation, that I had a half-sister who is 2 years older than my youngest brother. My younger sister, being the stalker that she is, went through all of her social media and discovered that her life is far better than ours, as shown by her having a birthday party at a restaurant, whereas we never even get a cake and a gift on our birthday. In addition, the child often requests money from my father for bills and other items she wishes to purchase. My mother was aware of her existence, but I'm not sure when this began. My father continues to have affairs with numerous younger women, and he even has photos of them in their underwear and out on dates.